Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. We can see your presentation.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm Joseph Osodo from the University of Eswatini in South Africa. I'm actually a Kenyan, but currently working at the University of Eswatini. My study is on investigating university students' course content traversal dispositions in virtual learning environments. Actually, this is still work in progress, so I'm only going to address one objective. I'm going to I'm going to define a few concepts, then go to the introduction, theoretical framework, statement of the problem, objective of the study, and the question, approach, design, instruments, data collection and analysis, population, sampling, procedures, and sample size, then eventual results, discussion, and recommendations. I wish to begin by defining a few concepts here. And by university students, I mean learners enrolled in higher education institutions pursuing undergraduate and postgraduate degrees. By course content here, I mean the materials and curriculum covered in a specific academic session. Traversal dispositions here, I mean the attitudes, tendencies, behavior, and approaches students adopt when navigating through course content. And then virtual learning environment here refers to the online platforms and tools used for remote education and distance learning for the learning management systems. Now, I wish then to proceed to define linear course structures as modes with fixed sequences, while nonlinear ones are randomly accessible. LEAPA 2024 here also defines linear learning as structured, while nonlinear learning allows flexibility. So that is a presentation of graphic presentation of a linear mode of learning, as well as the non-linear mode of presentation. Linearity and non-linearity modes in content structure in learning management systems have effects on linear attitudes as well as correlation to academic performance has continued to elicit interest among educators and researchers over time. The concern here is that different research findings show that some students prefer linear modes while others prefer nonlinear modes, and the performance of the students or the attitudes towards those structures is not consistent. You find that there's lacking in dynamity. And so for that reason, we also realize that given the fact that different learners have different traversal dispositions and learning styles, it's essential to establish content presentations structures that learners will ascribe to, so that we'll be able to establish the modes or structures that learners would prefer. As a result of the unprecedented interruption of learning programs occasioned by the infamous COVID-19 pandemic, resulted into a revolutionary rather than evolutionary paradigm shift from the traditional face-to-face learning encounters to online learning and later blended learning. Institutions of learning, despite their preparedness, especially in the developing economies, had to embrace some form of online learning. And many were caught unawares, especially due to lack of preparedness in terms of policy, practice, and relevant infrastructure. So my study here wants to point to two directions. One, the linear structures, and as you can see, Johnson in 2022 carried out a study that showed that learners expressed a strong preference for linear content presentation in learning management systems. The same was with Li and Zhang in 2023, China. The same results were reported by Kadji, Murang, and Samson in 2017 in Namibia. Then on the other hand, we also have studies showing nonlinear structures, and there's one by Cheng and Wang in 2024 in USA that showed that learners exposed to nonlinear content presentation had a positive attitude and achieved higher performance scores compared to those who experienced linear content presentation. The same, a similar finding was recorded by Konda and others, as well as Nkosi and Lamini in South Africa. I used two theoretical frameworks. The first one is technology acceptance theory, and then cognitive load theory. Then the statement of the problem here, we notice that many students struggle to stay engaged and motivated when learning in virtual environments, influencing their attitudes towards virtual learning environments. Then there's also limited interaction, technological challenges where students may face challenges navigating and utilizing virtual learning tools, hindering their ability to access and comprehend course content. And then, of course, the adaptation of learning, online learning, where students struggle to adapt to the shift from traditional classroom settings to virtual learning environments, affecting their course content and traversal dispositions. So we realized that many students, as well as even teaching staff, are apprehensive largely. There's apprehension towards use of technology, and this has influenced their attitudes and thereby adaptation, compliance, and ultimately academic performance of the students. So this study aimed at establishing the most preferred traversal disposition of students, thereby recommending the most suitable course structures of learning systems. So the research objective was to investigate the course content, traversal dispositions of university students in learning, virtual learning environments with regard to linearity and non-linearity. And then the research question was, what was university students' course content traversal dispositions in virtual learning environments with regard to linearity and non-linearity? The research approach was a mixed methods approach, where I combined qualitative interviews and quantitative descriptive surveys together with comprehensive data. There were in-depth interviews with a sample of university students to explore their experiences and attitudes in virtual learning environments. And then quantitative descriptive surveys, where online surveys circulated to a sample of university students to collect data on their course content, traversal dispositions, and attitudes. Validity and reliability was ascertained by ensuring the research instrument is valid and reliable through pilot testing and statistical analysis. Then, of course, the population comprised of all public students enrolled in virtual learning environments across multiple disciplines. And of course, in Eswatini or Swaziland, there's only one public university. The sampling procedure was purposive, where I purposively sampled the University of Eswatini, specifically Valuseni campus, and then, of course, simple random sampling for the Faculty of Education students. The sample size was 372 Faculty of Education students. And then I also observed ethical considerations by obtaining informed consent of the participants and ensuring confidentiality. The data collection was through interviews, surveys, and document analysis of course content. Qualitative analysis was done during using analysis of interviews, transcripts, to identify patterns, themes, and key findings related to the course content, traversal dispositions. Quantitative data analysis was done using statistical analysis of survey responses using descriptive methods. And then there was triangulation, combining qualitative and quantitative data to provide a comprehensive understanding of the students' course content traversal dispositions. Coming to results, discussion, and recommendations here, there is all of the students, that is 100% preferred linear course presentation as opposed to non-linear mode. And this corroborates a study by Johnson in 2022, which established that a majority of learners expressed a strong presence of linear content presentations. That is the chart showing that all of the students, that's 100%, concurred or said that they prefer linear presentation modes. And then when the students were asked if they preferred a page full of text in a continuous prose form with a few hyperlinks as opposed to a page with a short paragraph of information and several hyperlinks displayed in graphics, 76.9% of the students agreed, 11.5% were not sure, while 15.4% disagreed. So this is in agreement with a study by Klang and Lamin in 2024, who conducted a research in Eswatini and reported that learners favored linear content presentations. Then that is the graph showing what I've just mentioned. And then 69.2% of the respondents mentioned that a page with hyperlinks was time consuming, whereas 15.4% were not sure and 19.4% disagreed. This finding was consistent with a study conducted in Zimbabwe by Matenga and Chikodzi in 2023, where learners who received linear content presentation were positively disposed towards linear modes as opposed to non-linear ones, hence performed better than the non-linear counterparts. That is the graph showing the findings. And then finally, when students were prompted to suggest their most preferred interfaces, they responded as follows. One said that we prefer a sequential presentation of materials in such a way that we can download to our mobile phone or PC. Note that every time we need certain information, we have to access it on Moodle. Hyperlinks should be of minimal use. Another one said that may only the relevant stuff be included with few hyperlinks and in a rewritable form so that we can add our short notes too. It should not have many links like in Wikipedia. So one student mentioned that. So in conclusion, it was concluded that the students preferred linear modes of content presentation in virtual learning environments as opposed to non-linear modes. My recommendation here is that virtual learning course designers ought to establish traversal dispositions of students before they design courses in learning management systems and design the courses based on students' preferences. So they should actually work hand in hand with the students before they begin the design of the courses online. But the limitations here is that due to lack of funds, the researcher was limited to a small target population and sample size. And it is recommended that funds be canvassed in order to undertake a study with a bigger population and sample size. And further research here, a study of students' preferences based on demographic aspects such as age, gender, geographical location, and socioeconomic backgrounds ought to be undertaken in order to acquire a more in-depth position. Those are my references. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.